All of them as well. What a move for the 48. Oh, look at this. And onto the straight they come.
Brilliant move there from the number 40 to make it through. That left-hander sliding up the inside, going up now over Hawthorne Hill, down Pilgrim's Drop, and it's brilliant stuff here at Brands Hatch.
We are getting set as we're on the road to the halfway point of the World GT Championship Season 15, and we're here at Barber Motorsport Park for rounds number 9 and 10. Two 45-minute feature races here, and well, it's myself, Paul Smith, and Peter Mackay for all of the coverage here today. Peter, you must be absolutely delighted to be commentating on Barber.
It's a rare treat to get to call a race at Barber, and we have two for you tonight, and what a circuit this is. If you've never seen it before, you're going to love it.
You certainly are. There you see the road that we've been on so far. We're staying in North America today after Road Atlanta last week, before we have a week break for the new iRacing build, and then Nürburgring, Mount Panorama, Monza, Belle Isle, Watkins Glen and Sebring to finish off the season. Pro Championship, well, that's currently led by Ross McFarlane. It was a dramatic race last time out, and Ross is currently 33 points clear of James Bume in second place, with Dennis Grabowski a further is 78 points off of the championship leader. Jack Sedgwick closing the gap there to now just 84 points back with Anders Meyer, Michael Evdoka, Ethan Critchley, Thomas Cavalier, Arthur Thurtle and Alex Davidson rounding out your top 10. Adam Watson, he still leads the Pro-Ams, considering that he wasn't here last week. 27 points is his gap now over Paul Webster, with Ben Palmer in third place ahead of Andy Archer. Jamie Rushworth and Michael Gray and Jack Osborne, they're all within 100 points of the championship leader, so this could be a really good one, with Eric Roseth, Till Sommerfeld and Mattia Catania rounding out the top 10. In your AM, it's Giuseppe Machella by one solitary point in the lead over Josh Booth, with Jesse Payne Wilkins third place, just 35 points behind Josh in that one. Simon Andre Livingston and Johnny Elia are separated by 2 points, with Kevin Stringer, Craig Jones, Andrea Corbellini and Byron Crawford, all of them within 100 points, so this is going to go down to the wire, I think. Stephen Koenig rounds out the top 10. Your pro teams, there's 9 of them. It's led by the WSR Esports butt kicker team. They are leading Altitude Esports by 26 points. Then WSR Esports ahead of Altitude Esports Blue, Racing Lab Esports, Boots and VDS by Undercut, Olympus Esports, German Sim Racing Pro and Effect Simulations. And then in your Pro-Am Teams Championship, Full Tilt V Motorsport are leading that one by 26 points as well, over Atomic Esports, with ADX Racing Team in third, German Sim Racing AM in fourth, Full Tilt V Simsport, 11 Tenths Racing, SCCR Simsport, 3M UK, Nouvier Racing Team and Mystic M Sport rounding out the 10 Pro-Ams. We're currently in qualifying right now, and it's Alex Davidson who is heading that qualifying at the moment over his teammate of Ross McFarlane. And Jack Sedgwick, Peter, is on a real resurgence here this season, currently third place in qualifying.
It's been great to see Jack put a bit of a run of form together after a dominant performance at Mugello a couple of weeks ago in the Ferrari, his trusty Ferrari, and a good run last week at Road Atlanta too. So let's see what he can do out here at Barber, because qualifying is going to be super important. It's not the easiest track to overtake at, so really important to get that a good lap in here.
Right, so speaking of this already, let's take a look at your starting grid, and it is Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane, the two WSR Esports butt kicker cars, sharing the front row. They are leading Jack Sedgwick and Anders Meyer on row number 2. Row 3 for James Bume and Eric Rosef, the Pro-Am contingent, is led by him in 6th place. A great qualifying lap in that BMW. Then on row number 4, it's Ethan Critchley and Jamie Rushworth, with the 5th row shared by Till Sommerfeld and Raphael Schiffer. Dennis Grabowski and Adam Watson then on row number 6. 7th row of the grid then, Arthur Thurtle and Michael Gray, with Jack Osborne, Paul Webster on row number 8. Row number 9, it is Ben Palmer and Andy Archer. 10th row of the grid, and it's the two AMs, Josh Boot and Johnny Elia, sharing that row of the grid, leading the AMs ahead of Mattia Catania and Phil Samways on row 11. The 12th row of the grid is another two AMs, Jesse Payne Wilkins and Giuseppe Machella. Simon Andre Livingston and Simon Lersing then share the next row of the grid, Daniel Sedgley and Byron Crawford on row number 14. The 15th row, Ben Gregory, returns this week, and Kevin Stringer alongside him. Final few rows for you here today. We've got Craig Jones and Andrea Corbellini, Ben Cullen and Stephen Koenig with Mark Hutchinson and Johnny Walker. And that is going to be the back of the grid. We are missing Mark Hutchinson, so he did register for the server, but hasn't actually got himself in here, so he's going to be missing this first race. Well, as the drivers go out on their pace lap, Peter, talk to us about this track, because as you said, it's not really used that much by series and by private leagues. It's good to see it back.
Oh, it's just a fantastic place in Birmingham, Alabama. The brainchild of George Barber, who was a very successful dairy farmer and property investor, and he put a lot of money into this facility. The thing that really makes it special is its flowing nature. It just follows the natural curvature of the land, and it's no surprise to see these mid-engine cars doing so well up at the front, because it's a circuit where you really need a good balance and not too much oversteer, not too much understeer, and it's just a joy to drive around. The IndyCar series have come here in the past, and it's quite popular for motorbike racing, and actually home to one of the best motorcycle collections anywhere in the world. So good, in fact, that it was exhibited in the Guggenheim in 1998.
Wow, that's a hell of a stat right there. We have had problems, by the way. Johnny Walker has had to tour back to the pit lane. I think he's having issues with his connection. And also Ben Cullen is currently not in the server either. So we're missing a few drivers. Mr. Hedge is alluding to issues for Mark Hutchinson in the YouTube chat. So we've not got the biggest of grids here this week. It's been quite a divisive circuit for a few of the drivers. I don't know why. I always seem to get on with this track.
Well, maybe they might be happy if we just race at the iRacing Super Speedway for 10 weeks in a row.
Oh, that would be a good punishment, to be honest.
Yes. Oh, you didn't know you were born.
Right, okay. Well, we are getting ourselves set for round number 9 of the World GT Championship. It's going to be an all WSR Esports butt kicker front row. Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane, they will lead the drivers across the line. It's a rather short run to the line as well into turn number 1, but the green flag is out and we're underway here towards turn number 1 we go. As the drivers plunge downhill, it's a tricky corner to get right. It's so easy to have an issue. And speaking of issues, Johnny Elia, who was on the front row of the AM grid, he's off into the gravel.
Ah, what a pity for the 11/10th racing driver to make to have an issue so early on in the race. But 2 races tonight, so time to fight back as they pile down into the turn 5. Hairpin, very, very tight through there. Got to be careful.
You certainly do. Drivers working their way through, then down towards the, well, I say a hairpin, but also it's a chicane as well. It's a really funny one, is this one. You can make some overtakes through there in that downhill section, but the drivers work their way through, and this is possibly my favourite part of the track. Absolutely flying through that first chicane, a little bit of the dab of the brakes through the second chicane before then coming to this final part of the track where the cars just, it undulates. The cars don't want to go around the corners. Tricky braking on the curves as well. So it's a real challenge for these drivers.
It is, and if you don't know the circuit, it requires a lot of practice to get up to speed here. Whoa, quite a few drivers running very wide and out onto the grass, out of the final corner. So finding the limit and more through the field. And that first corner is a proper breathe in and a bravery corner, that one.
As we go through then, Phil Samways, we were looking at earlier, Mattia Catania is in the middle of 3 cars. Oh, and around contact with Josh Boot. We were saying about how well Josh Boot has been doing recently, not just in qualifying but in races, and unfortunately I think that consistency just isn't quite there as we're looking at it again.
Ah, he got up on the curb. So just our shot there, producer Connery Maddock picking that one up, where he just put 2 wheels up on the curb and that launched the car beyond really the path he thought he would be on, and that just sent him straight into the side, speeding into the side of Catania's Porsche. So there they are, right in the heat of the pack there, and Josh Boot in the number 6 Lamborghini, and oh, so that's 2 incidents for Boot already. He's punting everyone off.
Oh, that's yeah. That one was a bit of sticking his nose into the middle of two cars. In that case, it's lap one, turn one. It's all congested there, and it is a tricky corner as that turn one here, isn't it? Because it's a downhill. You're braking as well downhill. It's not the easiest corner to get through cleanly when you're further back in the pack.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. Really frustrating start to the race. But at the front of the field, Alex Davidson returning back this week, and at the front of the field with his teammate, championship leader Ross McFarlane, right in behind, who has the fastest lap of the race. And then the Ferrari, the NX Ferrari of Jack Sedgwick, and Anders Meyer in the first. The BMWs there in fourth, but just losing a little bit of touch with the leading three at the moment.
Yeah, so you go through the left-right. It's so easy to get that first chicane wrong, and then onto the brakes, trail brake into the left, and then the right. You don't want to ride that inside curb too much, because if you go right over that curb, it unsettles the car and pushes it wide onto the grass, so you've got to be careful. Now, if you're Ross McFarlane, you're looking behind you right now, because Jack Sedgwick has been on a run of form recently. He's been doing so well, getting wins in this championship, and now he's looking squarely at a championship rival through our windscreen right there. Sedgwick, he is on form in this Ferrari right now, Peter.
Yep, he's really running well in this 296 GT3, chasing the venerable Lamborghinis here of the WSR butt kicker team. And Ferraris were used to having quite sonorous engines, high-pitched, high-revving. This 296 GT3 is certainly one of the plainest sounding Ferrari race cars ever made, with that low punchy 2.9 litre V6 turbocharged, but certainly effective.
I know a lot of people will sort of, when they talk about the Formula 1 eras and they talk about, oh, V10, you know, that was it. And, I mean, I will still say, I will take to my grave that the greatest sound I ever heard in motorsport was Jean Alesi absolutely flat chat into into Maggots and Beckett's in the damp in his V12 Ferrari in 1995. That was the best sounding Ferrari in my, best sounding motorsport for me.
Well, funny enough, I shared a video the other day of Emmanuel Collard doing a, in brackets or inverted commas, shakedown of a Ferrari 333 SP. It was quite a lively shakedown, I must say, and it's got I think a derivative of that engine, a V12 in the back of it, and it's not a car. No, it might have four wheels and a steering wheel. It's in fact a musical instrument. Yeah,
it is. It is a work of art. But I've always enjoyed a V6 sound. I've always enjoyed the sound of a V6. As there's a dart out from it's Ben Palmer behind the full tilt driver of Paul Webster. It is. No move being made though, and in fact Palmer loses out through that complex at the corkscrew.
Yep. So who said you couldn't overtake at Barber? No, that might have been me, but the drivers are proving me wrong, which I'm delighted to say. A little bit of a steady start for James Boumé. He qualified in 5th. He's dropped the position to Ethan Critchley in the WSR Lamborghini. Boumé, the defending champion, running the #1 plate, which I think should be written into the regulations of any championship. If you're the defending champion, you must run the #1 plate.
Yeah, I mean, is that a little bit that's come across from MotoGP that then F1 has gone, oh, that's a good idea, let's copy that with the driver numbers? Yeah,
possibly. It was definitely it's definitely a discussion point in motorcycle racing, whether you run the #1 plate. I suppose that's why it's called the #1 plate, because it would be stuck on the front of the fairing in the old days.
I mean, me personally, I've never won a championship, but I would run the #1 every time. I would wear it with pride.
I'd have t-shirts made with #1 on them.
Yes.
Pyjamas, bed sheets. Mugs.
Celebratory
Pencil sharpeners.
silver salvers as well.
Oh yes, yes. The replica silver salvers to hand out to the sponsors.
As we go off on a bit of a tangent here,
Well,
Jack said
no.
we'll keep
Who is in line for the best 5-lap average in qualifying for the Paul Smith Silver Salver right now?
Well, we've got to give them a chance, get a few laps under the belt.
We had 5 laps. No, we haven't had 5 laps yet.
No, they're on to lap 6 now, so let's give them a chance. But yeah, Cedric keeping McFarlane honest right now, and I think Cedric is doing exactly what he's being so successful at, is being quick, but also doing some fuel saving and all of that as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on how that front battle goes, but keeping an eye also on Pro-Am, because this isn't for the lead of Pro-Am, by the way, that's Jamie Rushworth, but still 15th, 16th and 17th, it's Paul Webster, Ben Palmer and Andy Archer, 3 different teams, all duking it out for that 15th spot.
Fantastic to see so much competition here across all 3 classes, and we saw a breakout performance from Eric Rossith in Road Atlanta last week, although he did qualify in class pole, but actually it's Jamie Rushworth who's moved up the field. He's in 7th overall right now and leading in Pro-Am. Leader in Am right now, if you're looking down the page, Jesse Payne Wilkins sitting in 20th right now, leading in the Am class.
Giuseppe Michela, 2nd place in class, who's the championship leader, don't forget. So Josh Boone in Am came in 1 point behind Michela into this round. Well, I think that's going to change slightly after that contact that Boots had with Johnny Elia. And, well, not Johnny Elia, sorry, no, it was Catania he had that contact with. As we're on board with Palmer, and that roaring engine there, that V10, a bit deep there from Ben. That's costing him, and he's got to be careful from behind him, because Andy Archer give him half a chance and he'll take it.
You bet he will. You bet he will. So just over 10 minutes gone, and Andy Archer, yeah, right there on the bootleg of Ben Palmer. Good to see the Lamborghini a bit back in favour. Oh dear. Audi
that was
off.
Am leader.
Oh no. Oh, he's been hit up the back.
Yeah, there's definitely the damage on the rear of Jesse Payne Wilkins' car, and that does lose Jesse the Am lead here now. So it's Giuseppe Michela, who now leads Am. I'll have to try and find out and work out what's happened there. I don't think it takes a great brain scientist or rocket surgeon to work out what's happened there to Jesse Payne Wilkins.
Does look a little bit pushed in there at the rear. It could be that he went backwards into the barrier, but it just seems to be suffering with a little bit of internet issues. Side by side with the Ferrari there, and they were coming into a downhill braking zone now. This keep a watchful eye. Oh.
That connection problem won't have helped matters.
No, it will not have helped. No.
So that's what happened to Jesse Payne Wilkins. Back up and running though.
It's been one of those nights. All sorts of technical issues hurting some drivers.
Not just some drivers as well. As we carry on, let's have a look then at Anders Meyer. It's been a bit of a hit and miss season for Anders, I think it must say. Although saying that, 5th place in the championship, only 112 points off of the championship lead. Not bad going so far in this season.
No, pretty good, and it's a long old way to go. We're just coming up to the halfway point of the season, so a lot of points still left on the table. And momentum is important, it really is in this championship. And you just look at the performances from Jack Sedgwick and Eric Rossith as well. Just had a standout performance last week at Road Atlanta, and look at him now, still running in the top 10 overall, 9th overall and 2nd in Pro-Am. It's been absolutely fantastic to watch.
Yeah, they've found something in that BMW, haven't they, that maybe some others haven't done. I mean, granted, they are, what, 2 of 3 BMWs on the grid, the other one being Stephen Koenig, the AM driver, but they seem to be doing something with that car that others just cannot do.
Yeah, clearly there's something they like about it. And oh, the altitude Ferrari there of Arthur Turtle getting into a pretty big hip and shoulder with the number 2 of Ben Palmer. They're going side by side. Nobody's going to blink. Oh, Palmer slips ahead. Goodness me.
Yeah, this isn't time to be having a measuring contest right now. You need to allow the space through corners, and well, Arthur just drops down, then behind Ben Palmer, so something has gone on there for Arthur. Although, yeah, down 3 spots from where he started in this race, so got a bit of work to do to get back up there. So things happening for him, but Ben Palmer, he is somebody who will race you hard. There is no doubt about that. He is a tough racer, and he has real world experience as well from racing Renault Clios and winning a championship in them.
Well, that'll certainly toughen you up. Renault Clio racing
not
event.
Clios, it was the Minis.
Likewise.
Yes.
Same thing, small front-wheel drive cars where, yeah, panels are detachable and often prove to be so. Yeah, that you can't really go through a tougher school than that, short of maybe short oval racing possibly. Yeah, that's not a surprise. So Ethan Critchley trying to put some pressure here on the leading BMW of Anders Meyer. And I tell you what, these Lambos are looking strong all the way through the field in respective Pro-Am and AM classes. I think it's just the balance of it, the mid-engine balance, just really, really good for this type of circuit.
And behind them is still James Newmay, who has not... It's been a funny old season for James, hasn't it? That he's not been able to get on pace and to be up there with the leaders. As there's Stephen Koenig again giving us
Koenig Cam.
Koenig Cam, and giving us a little bit of the look, and always good to see, and very comfortable. Yeah, I was going to say it looks very comfortable. Does that?
It does. That is, it's like a fluffy dressing gown kind of idea. We had a bed sheet, well, what looked like a bed sheet last week, but that it looks like a very comfortable, maybe a throw, like a sofa throw, maybe.
I'm not one for interior design, Peter.
Neither am I. Neither am I. I have it placed upon me. Interior design, not the throw. That is.
Mattia Catania, by the way, is the first taker for a drive-through penalty. Already hit that 17 incident limit for this race. Wow. So yeah, that's rough going.
What did Ron Burgundy say to Baxter? It's like, I'm not even mad, I'm impressed.
I mean, looking at that car, it is battered, it is bruised. It was the car that was involved with Josh Boot, don't forget. So it's taken a bit of a redesign. I don't think that Porsche sold it like that, but they'll certainly take the parts bill. Yes.
You think these cars are expensive, you think, oh, the manufacturers must make loads of money out of that. Well, sure, but what they really make the money from is replacing the parts on them, and yeah, when they go racing, things get damaged and they wear out very quickly. So yeah, it's pretty good business to be in. First pit stops coming in after 17 minutes of racing. Jesse Payne Wilkins will be picking up a little bit of repair, and he'll be able to use his fast repair and get back going again. So not all lost just yet for the former AM leader.
Yeah, and it's a funny track, is this one? In that if you get stuck behind traffic, I mean, you mentioned that it's not the easiest track to overtake at. Is it a case of, if you feel that you're getting stuck behind somebody, we've reached the point where pit stops can happen, why not just throw the dice and try and get yourself a bit of clean air?
I think it's a good idea, yeah, because this is a circuit where you're carrying quite a lot of corner speed through certain places, and if you get too close to the car in front, you do get a bit of aero push, a bit of aero wash from these GT3 cars. And the thing is, the GT3 cars getting more and more aero dependent, if you like, and yeah, that then makes in turn the makes the aero wash a little bit worse. So yes, if you're feel like you're getting held up, you'll know, but exactly by your lap time, the delta coming up on the screen, then you'll know if you're in the window or not where you should be. But if you feel you're being slowed up, then yes, it's a good opportunity to get that pit stop done and jump into some fresh air and lay down some hot laps.
Alpha Fertile and Johnny Elia are 2 more onto the lane. Although Alpha didn't... no, Alpha did stop, yeah, so making their pit stops in this race. So that's a couple more. That's 4 pit stops we've had so far in this race, and we're all looking at around the 11 to 12 second mark for the pit stop, where you're actually sat in the pit box. So that is the sort of the target that we're looking at right now for what these drivers are going to be looking at. The guys at the front, they're just carrying on as they are. I do think, though, at some point traffic will become an issue, even in a 45-minute race here, Peter, when those people who have early pitted are coming more and more into the grasps of the race leaders.
I agree. I think with the you know, a lap time of 1 minute and 20 seconds for our leading cars, then yes, we are going to come across some lap traffic, and sometimes it's with a track like this where, you know, you're trying to roll as much corner speed as you can, and it can be very technical in places too. You know, you really don't want to get caught up behind a lap car. Because look, this part of the circuit here, through 7A, 7B, it's that, to me, that would be 7A, 7B, and 7C. But anyway, never mind. American corner numbering. Through there, that's all one line through there. So if you get stuck behind someone, you are going to lose time.
You certainly are, and it's going to have an effect. So yeah, if you've got lap traffic now, of course, don't forget in this series, lap traffic is supposed to assist the race leaders or the lapping cars to be able to go by. They're not expected to just pull over and come to a halt, you know, like Formula 1 seems to insist on. But in this series, it's just assist the faster cars in coming through, and don't be a hindrance in that. So that's what the expectation is in this championship. The front 3, by the way, they're in another world, I could tell you, with the 5 lap averages now, Peter, because we've reached a decent stage, 16 laps in. You're talking a 21-1, 21-1 and 21-2 between the top 3 average, 5 lap average. Then 4th place, Anders Meyer, is 22-1-4. So on average, losing about 3/10 of a second a lap to the leader.
And that's why they're all competing for the Paul Smith Silver Salver, to get that good 5 lap average, because that's what wins you races.
Dennis Grabowski had an issue going through the chicane there and took to the grass. He's got a slow down penalty that he's got to serve. He should be okay though, because it's one of his compatriots, Adam Watson, behind him. And as much as Adam can be, what was the descriptive words that Mark Fletcher used once? Oh yes, a weapon. He certainly won't be wiping out his teammate if he can help it.
That would be, yes, that would be the plan, not to do that for Adam Watson. And I tell you what, following Grabowski's lines is, I think, would be a good thing to do. Grabowski, a very, very fast driver, fighting up in the sharp end of the Pro Championship, winner in Pro-Am last year. Of course, him and Adam went toe-to-toe for that championship last season. So yeah, it's a good spot for Adam to be in. He's the championship leader. He's just got to keep scoring points, and he's still the championship leader with his missed week too. So that's his drop rounds sort of sorted. So yeah, I think he's running a good spot right now. Just to keep it under control.
Andy Archer then onto pit road for his pit stop. Where's he going to come out? Is he going to come out around Ben Palmer. And there's Jack Sedgwick going through on Alex Davidson. What on earth has happened to your race leader? He's dropped back 2 spots, started on pole position, and he's on it. Well, that's Ross McFarlane there, so something's happened to Davidson through the chicanes here, Peter.
It might, but let's have a look. Oh, massive moment over the... Oh, well held. Well held there from Alex Davidson. Amazing car control. Just got over the curb and that kicked the car well out of control. Let's have a look on board. Well, the title of Innes Ireland's autobiography was All Arms and Elbows, and whoa, that's what it was.
Oh,
well held.
That's a change of underpants as well for Alex.
Yes.
And all of that. But what that does mean, of course, is that championship leader Ross McFarlane moves ahead into the lead, and Jack Sedgwick, the man in 4th place in the Pro Championship now, jumps up ahead as well. Ross had to just get off the throttle there because he didn't know exactly where Alex's car was going to end up in all of that. But now, what's Ross's plan here, Peter? Because we are getting towards that pit stop window for these drivers. Is it now a case of I need to just push?
I think so. Yeah, you really get the hammer down now for Ross McFarlane. Try to build a gap if he can. Thing is there, Alex Davidson, that was some excellent sportsmanship, because once he'd gathered it all up and came back onto the circuit, he probably had just enough time to throw a bit of a block there on Jack Sedgwick, and Sedgwick would have had to get out the throttle or brake to avoid hitting him. But I think it would have been possible to do that without incident, but he didn't. He allowed Sedgwick through rather than, you know, throwing him at what would have been quite a dirty block. So that's great sportsmanship there from Alex Davidson, and he'll regroup and get back to it and try and get some positions back. And you never know when they reach the pit stops. You never know. He might well have been running a little bit more economically than the others. He might well have been able to run that pace quite comfortably. So this is not far from done yet for Alex Davidson.
I think the first thing on Alex Davidson's mind, though, is just to get the tyre temperatures down, because they will have had a load of heat go through them, and it takes you just that little while just to get the tyre temperatures back down and under control here. So I actually think he's doing not a bad job. There was a Mercedes without a front bumper there. Phil Samways is just coming off of pit road now after having his pit stop, and will join back onto the road in a nice clean air pocket. So Phil comes out behind Andy Archer, and they'll get back onto the loud pedal, and away he goes. This race for 7th place, Jamie Rushworth leading it. Well, this has been just slowly bubbling away all race so far.
Yes, it has, just simmering to a boil, I think. This little battle here for 6th place. Jamie Rushworth leading in the Pro-Am class right now. Great effort from him. You're trying to hold off the Pro class Porsche there of Schiffer, the number 31 car, and the chasing and emerging BMW of Eric Rossith. So that is for Pro-Am position there. So Rossith on the charge in the Beamer.
Now, James Bume was stuck at the back of Anders Meyer and Ethan Critchley. He's decided now's the time to make his pit stop, and he gets away from his pit stall and will be back up and running. For James, I think that's a case of what we were discussing earlier, maybe just trying to find yourself a little slot to slot in a little bit of fresh air. But the problem is, the later that you get into a race like this, as more and more people pit, there's less and less space and slots for you to fall into.
Yeah, he tried it. Oh, little mistake there from Schiffer, goes off into the grass, just gathers it together, and that gives Rushworth some real breathing space and just slows Rossith up a little bit. So Rushworth, that's really helpful there, that little error there from Schiffer. Thinks about a little jink up the inside. That would be low percentage, to say the least. So yeah, Bume there tried tried to, like you said, Paul, try to get a kind of bit of an undercut, get a bit of fresh air, but in the end, all he did was just get mired behind Anders.
No, Dima is actually behind Marcella.
I thought you said it was Anders Meyer he was behind.
No, he was to start with, but then he pitted.
Okay, so he says, I'm not being mired behind Anders any longer, I'm going to pit.
We got there in the end. I'll tell you what though, Anders Meyer again has been just quietly going about his business in that BMW and doing a good job, as Eric Rosef, his teammate, now getting the run, but there's not really the space or the braking zone into that chicane for you to be able to make the move.
Tell you what, the BMW looks very stable. It looks really nice to drive. Whoa, yeah, that good decision there from Eric Rosset to come in, get out of that situation, get some fuel, and head back out into the race. Sedgwick up to, of course, he's running in second now, as they've got a little bit of lap traffic. Now, there was a lot of drivers made comments in the virtual paddock after last week's endurance race at Road Atlanta, saying that there was a lot of problems with lap traffic not observing the blue flag. So I wonder if that's been, well, there was enough of them complaining about it that it would have been loud and clear to those maybe who were guilty.
Yes, and if not guilty, certainly just a reminder to people about what's in the regulations here of this series. As still that front three of Ross McFarlane, Jack Sedgwick, Alex Davidson all together, and then quite a sizable gap back to Anders Meyer, about 6.25 seconds is that gap. And I believe Jack Sedgwick has gone onto pit road, so he's decided to pull the trigger here on the pit stops. He's the first of the leaders, and a big wiggle as he enters pit road.
So Sedgwick in the Ferrari. Let's hope his strategical play is better than his single-seater brethren for that brand. In he goes. No tyres taken, just fuel.
Nice little touch on the Ferrari strategists as away he goes. 10.7 seconds is the pit stop time, and he's going to come out right with one of your Atomic Esports cars. There's Jack Osborne in front of him, so Osborne, this is for position, so he doesn't have any blue flags, but if I'm Osborne, I'm encouraging Jack past, and in fact he does. Yeah,
very, very wise. Yeah, Osborne had the decision there to be an Atomic Bull or an Atomic Kitten. He chose the latter.
As we carry on now, leaders onto pit road. Ross McFarlane, Alex Davidson stays out. So is that McFarlane just deciding to play the percentages and react to what Jack Sedgwick did? And Alex Davidson, who's really out of the championship hunt even at this point of the season, he's just that little bit of a wild card perhaps.
But a very, very useful ally indeed for Ross McFarlane, and could play a big part in how this championship... Oh, that is a rare error there. Ross McFarlane had to reverse it back to find his pit box, so had to whack it out of first through neutral into reverse, little blip of the throttle, and then take a stop. That will have lost him valuable time. And is Sedgwick going to get out in front of him because of that? It's side by side. They're both still on warm tyres, of course, so there's no problem there with cold tyres in. Oh, McFarlane gets away with it just.
And I think get away with it is the correct term to use, because that was a big error that could have cost him a position and a potential race lead here. He is in the net lead at the moment. We're still on pit stops by Davidson, Critchley, Schiffer and Grabowski. And Stephen Koenig as well is the only other driver yet to make a pit stop here in this race. And right on cue, Alex Davidson onto pit road. We are going to be seeing how he pans out. Now, he was behind Jack Sedgwick at the before the start of the pit stops, as Ethan Critchley comes onto pit road as well. So it's where Alex Davidson comes out in all of this, and also if he can stop in his pit stall. But he's right at the end of the pits.
Yeah, hits his marks perfectly there, does Davidson, and will have slightly less fuel to take in, I would think. Yeah, 9 seconds of fuel taken on there.
He's going to do this.
For Davidson, I think he is. Oh, comfortably.
By a mile.
Comfortably.
I'm actually surprised by that.
Now,
Really am.
if McFarlane hadn't made that mistake, I actually think the result would have been the same there. I think there's enough of a gap there.
Yeah.
Wow. So he said that, you know, don't write Davidson off despite that little moment, and, well, it's proven to be so. He's got a big gap.
Yes, and that is going to be around about a second. 2 seconds less than McFarlane, but of course McFarlane had his drive through the pit box and had to reverse. So that would have added like an extra second and a half, 2 seconds. Jack Sedgwick's pit stop time was 11 seconds. So, yeah, Davidson about a second and a half quicker than Sedgwick in the pit stops, and it's hugely paid off here.
Well, let's see, because it could be, has Davidson been aggressive on the amount of fuel he's taken on board? Has he decided to take a bit of a risk, take a tiny bit less fuel to get that track position, knowing that he could probably fuel save and defend at this circuit, where he could put his car in a position to make it so difficult for either McFarlane, his teammate, or particularly Sedgwick to get through. So keep a close watch on Davidson. Does he have enough fuel on board? That's the question, and it could well depend on where the white flag falls, whether he, you know, catches it roughly at the time he expects it, or if he just goes over the line and has to go a lap longer. Could be a little bit under threat. Let's see.
I want to draw your attention to Ethan Critchley, because he's been able to jump both James Bume and Anders Meyer in the pit stops, and he's got himself up to 4th place. Jamie Rushworth's dropping down the order. Something's happened to him. He was your Pro-Am leader, he's not anymore. That's Eric Rousseff. So Jamie Rushworth recovering from the hairpin, and let's find out what's happened here, Peter.
Okay, yeah, coming down towards turn 5, following Grabowski's Ferrari, and clips the back of Grabowski. And hits Schiffer as well. Oh dear. That's such a shame for Rushworth. He was running so strong in a great overall position, class leader. Look at it from on board. Down the gearbox. Just too hot.
Yeah. And to be fair to Schiffer, there's very little reaction time there, because Rushworth would have been blocked view by that big BMW, because that BMW is right in front. You see, you can't really see the Porsche, and then all of a sudden you've committed to the corner, tries to tighten up the wheel, but it doesn't matter. There's no way of stopping from hitting him.
No, he hit his brake point, and he's already in the braking phase, if you like, when Rushworth spins. So he's already committed. So there's nothing he could possibly do about that. He's now just got to try and limp the car home. 8.5 minutes of that's going to hurt, and I wonder if he'll maybe have to let his teammate Sommerfeld through, depending on the pace, of course. But we'll see. Damage doesn't look too bad, considering.
If you're Adam Watson right now, you're actually liking this, because you're now up into 3rd place in class.
Cue the
11.
Jaws music.
Yes, cue the Jaws music indeed. And the thing is, he's got 2 German sim racing cars right in front of him. So the Altitude Esports Blue driver will be able to maybe potentially close up if that damage is affecting the lead car of them. But to be honest, I don't really see that gaining. And with there being so many corners where you do rely a bit on the aerodynamic grip around here, it does make it a little bit difficult to follow cars.
It is, yeah, and then you can't get close enough to get the get the overtake done. It's a great one-lap circuit. It's a brilliant circuit to drive. Just got a lovely flow, and I just love undulating circuits. Maybe that's my not-kill route, possibly, but it does make the nature of the circuit does make it difficult to overtake. But if anyone's going to find a gap, it's going to be Adam Watson. Although, as we know, as I found out at my cost, whatever I say, Adam will do exactly the opposite. Yeah.
We've had 2 retirements from the race, but they both didn't take the start. So Jonathan Walker and Ben Cullen. Everybody else is still running in this race. So in theory, if we did have a full reverse grid, we are seeing 33 cars reversed. It's a possibility on the spin of the wheel. Never say never.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. A full reverse grid here would be challenging, certainly challenging for our front runners to have to try and make their way through. It could be quite chaotic if that is the case. Let's see. We had quite a small reverse grid 2 weeks ago at Mugello, and we still got a safety car.
Yes, we did. It's worth just quickly
the whole
touching...
field got Critchley'd.
Yes. We'll quickly touch on positions as they are. So Alex Davidson still leads from Ross McFarlane and Jack Sedgwick. That's the top 3 in the race and in Pro. Pro-Ams, Eric Rousseff is currently leading that in 8th place in class. He's got a 2.5 second lead over Schiffer in 9th, which is a comfortable margin here. Till Sommerfeld is 2nd place in Pro-Am in 10th, ahead of Adam Watson, Pro-Am Championship leader, 11th overall, 3rd place in class. Your top Am is actually going to be Livingston. So Simon Andre Livingston will be leading the Am class at this stage, and is currently in 21st overall. 23rd overall is the recovering Jesse Payne Wilkins after that issue down at the hairpin stroke chicane, with Johnny Elia. Good recovery drive, considering he started on the front row of the Am grid and was facing the wrong way, is 3rd in class in 25th.
And you never know where the reverse grid comes out. Oh, one of the Porsches off. Oh, it's Catania. Oh no!
So back to the pits.
What a disastrous day he's had.
Yeah, I think this is one to forget. Lunge to the inside. He's there, and well, I mean, I can understand why he'd maybe feel a bit aggrieved about that one.
I think he'd made the apex at the correct speed, hadn't he? Or certainly was approaching the apex at the correct speed. Maybe got a bit squeezed there by the Ferrari. Let's look at it from his point of view. So down he could. Oh yeah.
Bang!
Yeah. To me, he's making that corner normally, and you've got to leave space at that point. When he's well alongside. Let's get another look. This is a perfect view here from our producer, Corny Maddox. So there you go, alongside. You can't just turn in at that point. You have to leave the space.
I mean, I can then counter and say, well, they've left the cars width.
Well, clearly not. If he's driven in the side of him. Yeah, clearly not. I mean, I'm not a civil engineer or anything, but not that would be much use either, actually.
How good was your trigonometry? Oh wait, hang on a second.
Trigger what?
Now,
actually, probably not bad actually, because I used to draw quite wedge-shaped racing cars in the back of my exercise book. A lot of them look like Daytona prototypes now that I think back at it.
Am I really sad that I was drawing the Vauxhall Cavalier of 1994 in my exercise book?
Successful racing car.
Yes. So with a certain Scott behind the wheel, absolutely. John Cleland, that's the one that I was always drawing. Now, the leaders have closed up a little bit, but now separated out a little bit again. So we're still looking at this 9th place battle. I mean, we call it a battle on the graphic there, but it's not really, is it? Because it's two teammates who are just going to be working together and just say, keep that Watson fella behind. Do you know what? They're pulling away from it.
I think, yeah, they're both saying, if we bicker at all, we're going to have that altitude Porsche all over us like a rash. And I think they've decided to avoid that situation at all costs. And that's what they're doing. But it's a good solid drive from Adam Watson, the Pro-Am Championship leader, 11th overall, 3rd in class, exactly where he needs to be. And Rosset had a great win and a very high overall placing, which scored him a lot of points last week at Road Atlanta, and in position to put another win on the board here in the Pro-Am. But he does have a lot of ground to catch up, don't forget.
Yes, came into this round of the championship 116 points behind Adam Watson going into this race. So yeah, Rousseff has got a bit of catching up to do. Biggest mover in the field, and we saw him just a few moments ago in the rainbow liveried car. Ben Gregory is up 7 places. He's the biggest mover in this entire field, and he's behind Simon Andre Livingston. Well, in fact, he's got a queue of cars behind him though. Jesse Payne Wilkins, one of those, will be desperate to try and get past Ben here, just to try and minimise the win that Livingston's going to get in Am.
So, less than a minute to go. There's a lot going on that Ferrari, isn't there? Oh, even more going on.
That's suboptimal, and that's a slowdown penalty, is that? I can tell you from experience. What they're going to do? Well, they're going to stay as they are. And do you know what? He served it. He served that slowdown penalty, and he's bunched them up even more. There's Johnny Elia there. There's also Simon Lersing, Marcella. It's not Elia, sorry, it's Byron Crawford who's there in the 11/10 car. So there's a number of cars just all in the queue at the deli counter. They've all pulled the ticket, and they're going, well, I want to be 22.
And then you get handed a load of just going out of date salami, and you're like, no, I was 23. No.
Well, here we are at the front. One driver who isn't complaining at the deli counter is Alex Davidson. Just 2 more corners to go. It's the last lap of the race, and he is going to be a race winner in round number 9 of the World GT Championship Season 15. Alex Davidson for WSR Esports Butt Kicker.
Well, what a recovery after leading the race and then having the mother and father of all moments there. Just a brilliant recovery from Alex Davidson, and another win for the man of the moment in Pro-Am, Eric Rosses. Fantastic.
Brilliant stuff for the Racing Lab esports driver in his BMW to do that. And Simon Andre Livingston then, another one from the Racing Lab team, will be looking to get a good result here. Leading Am. I thought that car was out of fuel then, it was just off throttle. As we come through the final few corners. Just get these last few corners right. A big gap behind. No worries at all. Through the final corner. You can almost just run it, coast it over the line here. And it's a race win then in Am for Racing Lab Esports. It's a win in Pro-Am. It's a win in Am. What an opening race for Racing Lab Esports.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. They really are on a roll, aren't they?
Tremendous stuff. Well, we've had everybody come across the line. We'll be able to give you the results shortly, but first, what it will be time to do is it will be time to spin the wheel to decide who is going to be on pole position for race number 2 of the evening. Yes! If you thought that wasn't enough, well, it isn't, because we've got another race coming up, another 45-minute race. And as that wheel slows down, we are going to get a... Oh, it's just gone over to 18. So the reverse grid of 18, that's nearly half of the field. In fact, it pretty much will be half of the field reversing here. So we'll run you through your provisional race results here for round number 9 of the World GT Championship, and it's Alex Davidson leading a WSR Esports Butt Kicker 1-2 in their Lamborghinis, ahead of his teammate by just over half a second. Jack Sedgwick then in third for NX Racing, and then another one for the WSR Esport Bookkeeper team, Ethan Critchley in fourth place. Anders Meyer in fifth ahead of James Bume and Dennis Grabowski. And then your top Pro-Am, Eric Rousseff for Racing Lab Esports, 8th place overall in his BMW, winning Pro-Am. German Sim Racing, the Pro and Am outfits, Raphael Schiffer, and then 2nd place in Pro-Am, Till Sommerfeld, rounding out the top 10 in his Porsche. Then in 11th place, it's Adam Watson in his Altitude Esports Blue Pro-Am Porsche. That's 3rd place in Pro-Am, 11th overall, ahead of Michael Gray, Jamie Rushworth, Paul Webster, Ben Palmer, Arthur Thurtle and Andy Archer, Jack Osborne, Daniel Sedgley and Phil Samways down to 20th place. 21st for your AM winner for Racing Lab Esports in the Ferrari, Simon Andre Livingston winning that one ahead of Ben Gregory in 22nd. 23rd, 2nd place in class, Full Tilt v Simsport, Jesse Payne Wilkins after leading early on in class. 2nd place in the end in class. Simon Lersing ahead of Johnny Elia, who does recover to 3rd place in class after being facing the wrong way at turn 1 lap 1 for 11/10 Racing in his Porsche. Giuseppe Macella, Byron Crawford, Craig Jones, Josh Boot and Kevin Stringer ends at the top 30. Then Andrea Corbellini, Stephen Koenig, the last of the drivers to finish the race. Mattia Catania did not finish and not taking the start. Ben Cullen, Johnny Walker and Mark Hutchison. So that is the results, the provisional results here of round number 9 of the championship. And it's worth pointing out here that 18th will give you Jack Osborne and Andy Archer and all Atomic Esports front row of the grid. They'll be delighted with that. They'll be dancing in the streets of Atomic Esports.
What do they look like? I wonder. I know what the streets of Wraith look like, and they look like there's been some sort of atomic disaster. So there's no such town as Wraith. It's the Wraith Rovers who play in Kirkcaldy. Never mind.
Yeah, I got your reference there, Peter.
Yes.
But let's start off with WSR Esports Butt Kicker 1, 2 and 4 in that race. Ethan Critchley gaining 3 places in that race. That Lamborghini looks so good around here today.
It looks planted, it looks like it's easy to drive, carrying big corner speed. Yeah, it's looking really strong. I mean, the WSR Esports Butt Kicker team will just be keeping everything crossed that the equilibrium of the balance of performance doesn't change too much with tomorrow's update. We see that, you know, it happens I think 4 times a year, the big update, and it does change the balance of performance between each of the GT cars. They will just be hoping that they look kindly on that Lamborghini, because right now they're in the groove.
They certainly are, and it's working well for them. But working well for him is Jack Sedgwick in that Ferrari. The only one from NX in that car. He's the only NX car on the grid even. His turn of form from having not the best of opening rounds of the championship to then coming to where he is, where he's consistently either winning or getting in the top 3. This is how you turn things around when you're a top driver.
Yeah, it's very impressive, isn't it? Jack Sedgwick is very much a championship contender. Yes, he's trailing a bit in the points right now, but he's just got so much more racing to go, and there's endurance races coming up. We know how good he is with them, and yeah, don't write him off. And again, see what happens after the update tomorrow, and you know, it could look very strongly on the Ferrari, it might not. So there'll be a lot of drivers desperate to get out there on track tomorrow after the update. One, probably to try the new iRacing rain feature, but I think also to see how their cars got on compared to the competition.
Yeah, everybody will be taking a keen look at the patch notes, the build notes on their cars. Eric Rousseff let's talk about the resurgence of that BMW. What a performance once again, winning Pro-Am and consistently being in the top 10 of the field.
Yeah, it's been a really, really impressive couple of weeks from Eric Rossith, and yeah, continues to do so. BMW looking super planted there, and that crew, they seem to have really dialed in that machine very, very well, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on. We'll have a good grid position for this upcoming race, starting just outside the top 10, so see what they can do.
And also to touch Simon Andre Livingston, the Racing Lab esports teammate of Eric, getting a win in a Ferrari. So choosing not the BMW, not going with the rest of the team, but it's worked out today in this opening race.
It has, and they're definitely a team that must be riding a kind of crest of a wave, and that's the thing with the team spirit is, one driver's doing well, it can work both ways. It can either make other drivers think, oh god, I'm not pulling my weight here, and it can also grow positivity, so it can work either way. It's just making sure that you channel it in that positive way.
Absolutely. Well, do stick around because we've got another 45-minute race coming up for you here in the World GT Championship. Don't go anywhere though, we'll be right back after these few messages.
As well. What a move for the 48. Oh, look at this. And onto the straight they come.
Brilliant move there from the number 40 to make it through. That left-hander sliding up the inside, going up now over Hawthorne Hill, down Pilgrim's Drop, and it's brilliant stuff here at Brands Hatch.
Welcome back to coverage of rounds number 9 and 10 of the World GT Championship right here on RaceSpotTV. Paul Smith and Peter Mackay with all of the action for you. We've got about 4.5 minutes before the second race of the evening. I want to quickly touch on something that you brought up, Peter, before we went to break there, which is the new iRacing build's coming tomorrow. Now, this series does run that iRacing balance of performance for the GT3 cars, I don't just think it'll just be the drivers who are competing, it'll also be the series admins who look at how the performance is, and because they do have it in the rules to be able to try and manually balance it out if something is a bit egregious.
They do have that. They tend not, by my experience, they tend not to use that power. They tend to kind of, you know, let be. And the thing is, it's not an easy thing to do. It's particularly when we've got 3 classes of driver taking part. It can be tricky to get a good read on exactly where the performance is. The one advantage you have in sim racing is that you can, the organisers can get in there and drive each of the cars and see where the performance is. In the outdoor world, in the real world, you're always in this constant guessing game of, are the teams showing their hand, who's sandbagging, all this kind of thing. So that is one advantage we have in sim racing.
It is true, and also when you think about a balanced performance, you've also got to take into account that you might have one track where one car is dominant. So like the Lamborghini looks really good around here, not just in the WSR hands, but also in other teams' hands as well. But you look at the rest of the calendar, and I don't know if we can bring this up on screen. I'm throwing Connery, our producer, under the bus here a little bit.
Oh, he's gone off for it.
You look at the rest of the season there, and you look at the variation in the tracks. You've got the Nürburgring, which is quite a technical track. Mount Panorama has got that mixture of up over the mountain where you need a really solid, stable car, but you also need a fast car for the straight. Monza is just Monza. Belle Isle's a street track where it's quite low speed corners, so you need a mechanical grip. And then Watkins Glen and Sebring are that little bit of a mix of medium to high speed corners.
And that's it. You know, it's very difficult to kind of get that balance right. So I think unless there's any major anomalies, then the series organisers will probably leave it as is. But let's wait and see. There's a lot. There's a lot to get teeth into in the world of iRacing over the next week or two.
And there's also another variable that the series admins could throw in there, of course, which has got everybody talking. And if you've seen the videos from the iRacing ambassadors of like Matt Malone, Casey Kerwin, Daniel Morad, Tony Kanaan, people like that, Love 46 as well, let's not forget her. They've been trying rain, and from what we've seen of those videos, my goodness, does it look like the iRacing have done it right. That could be a real curveball if this series admins go, do you know what, let's have a bit of weather.
Well, we'll see, but I have to agree, the short bits of footage that I've seen, yeah, I think the iRacing software team have just done an incredible job. The amount of hours and painstaking work it must have taken, they have to be applauded for that. And let's be honest, they've been under an enormous amount of pressure to publish it. And they've resisted that pressure rightly to make sure that they're absolutely happy with what it is. I'm sure it will be tweaked, I'm sure it will be worked on continuously, like every aspect of iRacing is. But I admire them a lot for sticking to their guns and going, no, it's not ready yet, we're not releasing it yet. And there's been a lot of fun jabbed about the soon it'll come soon, and well, now it's here. And well done to them. Hopefully they get a little bit of a chance to put their feet up once the rollout's complete.
Oh, no.
No, they won't.
We want more. What's the next thing?
Yeah, more. We're never happy.
So we've got all of that to look forward to, but what we've got to look forward to now is a reverse grid race here in the World GT Championship. 18 cars from the results of race number 1 of the evening will be reversed and inverted onto the grid. So we will take a look at that grid in just a few moments' time, but I can tell you it's Jack Osborne and Andy Archer, the two Atomic Esports drivers in their Lamborghinis, who are starting from the front row of the grid, with Arthur Thurtle and Ben Palmer on row number 2. Row 3 for Paul Webster and Jamie Rushworth. Could be a day for a Pro-Am win here today. Michael Gray and Adam Watson then on the 4th row of the grid with row 5 of Till Sommerfeld and Raphael Schiffer. 6th row is Dennis Grabowski alongside him of Eric Rosef. 7th row of the grid for James Bume, our reigning champion, alongside him Anders Meyer, with Ethan Critchley and Jack Sedgwick on row number 8. Row 9 for Ross McFarlane and your round number 9 winner, Alex Davidson. And the rest of the grid will be starting where they finished. Daniel Sedgley and Phil Samways are on row 10, with row 11 of Simon Andre Livingston and Ben Gregory. The 12th row of the grid is Jesse Payne Wilkins and Simon Lursing. Row number 13 is 2 Porsches of Johnny Elia and Giuseppe Machella, with Byron Crawford and Craig Jones on row number 14. The 15th row is Josh Boot and Kevin Stringer. Final 2 rows of the grid, row 16 for Andrea Corbellini and Stephen Koenig, and then Mattia Catania all on his own on the back of the grid. And well, we are getting ourselves set for this 45 minutes of racing, a mandated pit stop once again. We saw how difficult it is to overtake around here, and I said it as I was reading through the grid there, Peter. Today feels like a day a Pro-Am can win.
Why not? Yeah, there's enough of the top Pro-Am drivers up there at the front in this reverse grid race, so why not? And also, it's going to be tough for the leading drivers from race 1 to make their way through the pack as well, so bear that in mind of how difficult it is to overtake here. So I'm with you on that one.
The question is, which Pro-Am do we think? I mean, you look back to this season, I mean, you think back all the way back to Imola, and Michael Gray getting the race win there at the start of the season in round number 2. So something like that, I think, could be a possibility. Although Alpha Fertile is a pro starting on row number 2, he'll be looking at this and thinking, I could get a win here.
Well, I'm sure there'll be quite a few drivers at the front of the field licking their chops right now, wanting to pounce on this opportunity. And who will come out on top? Who will master the circuit? Many drivers talking about how they don't like the circuit. Well, quite frankly, yeah, everyone's got an opinion, but they're wrong. Dan Gurney and John Surtees were part of the design team for this circuit. So how very dare you?
Opinions are like noses. Everybody's got one. There is a different version of that, but I'll go with that one.
That's the PG version.
Yes, absolutely. But we are getting ourselves set then. Great to have you all along. We've got Altitude Esports fans. We've got fans of other teams as well watching along. It's great to have you all along here. But we are getting ourselves set for round number 10 of the World GT Championship Season 15. And the drivers under starters order, and they're underway. Green flag in the air, and we're underway. Down towards turn number 1. Are we going to go 3 wide? The answer is yes. Turtle, to the inside. Big mistake there. And that's just allowed Andy Archer to pull away at the front. Turtle, though, does end up alongside into second place, but Jack Osborne is fighting back at the front of the field and coming through. Paul Webster, he's trying to make his way through. We've had drama further down. I can see yellow flags on my track map, but we stay green flag racing for now. Kevin Stringer and Josh Boot again involved on that one.
Oh no, so after a couple of really strong weeks for Josh Boot, it's really unravelling here at Barber Motorsports Park. And I tell you what, that move there from Turtle at turn 1, that could have gone catastrophically wrong, but they just about got away with it. But for Andy Archer, he is off at the front of the field, and you said, well, we're looking at a Pro-Am winner. Well, right now, he's putting his stake into the ground. Adam Watson, look up the inside there, and scared the 888 of Webster out of off the road. Oh dear.
That's the effect that Adam Watson's name has when you see it in the relative. But as but Webster returns to the track safely, side by side with one of his sister team drivers, back out and away. Byron Crawford has a mechanical meatball warning flag, and he's taken a tour back to pit road. Well, we had a bit more drama on that lap 1 compared to last time, but Andy Archer 2 seconds to the lead right now over Jack Osborne, his teammate.
Fantastic. So, yeah, I think Webster just got it all wrong there. I do think he maybe thought that Adam Watson was going to have a go there and just got a little bit spooked. What's happened to Byron Crawford? Oh.
He's got damage already.
Oh, yeah, look, the front right wheel. Oh, God.
There's also been drama for Raphael Schiffer on this lap, I can tell you. James Bume has had problems. He's got a mechanical meatball warning flag right now as we come back to live pictures, and look at him, he's struggling with his car back to the pits, and the problem is he'll have to have 2 pit stops in this race.
That's right, yeah, it just... Oh, no! That was always going to happen, and he's just got to be careful now not to compound the damage. He's going to have to let the whole field by. Oh, no, he's waiting for his turn. Let's see what happened then to Bume in the Ferrari, coming down towards turn 5, hard on the brakes.
That's Schiffer there. There's Dennis Grabowski getting out the way. So that's what happened to Schiffer. That's why he fell down the order there. And then James Butte, he's already got the damage there, so something's happened. I mean, it didn't look like he was involved in anything on that lap. We've got that Paul Webster moment again, just having a look at that. And that was all about the curb there. We're trying to find it, what happened to Bume. Here we go. This is what Bume, he's got Cedric behind. Concertinaed up.
Oh, that's very bad luck. What could he have done in that situation? These things are going to happen. They're going to happen over Mrs. Pitbox for good measure, yeah. These things are going to happen over a World GT Championship season. I don't know of any driver who's had a completely clean season all the way through. Some of the incidents can be of your own making, and some can be ones like that where there's an incident ahead, you check up and you're in a train and nowhere to go. I mean, all James can do now is just get the repair, get back out on the track, and score whatever you can. You never know how high the attrition could be in this race. Score what you can, move on, and you know it could always be a drop week.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this championship, is that there are drop weeks available. You don't get a drop week for the final week of the championship, which, quite frankly, us in the commentary box are really thankful about.
I think that's the only reason they do it.
It's just to give us an easy time. Also gives the series admins an easier time as well. Now, Jack Osborne is doing a job here, holding back Arthur Fertel, and it's... I tell you what, he's got the pace of Arthur Fertel as well, but he's defending in the right spot. He's not defending fresh air, and right as I say that, as I'm giving him praise, he's got himself a slowdown penalty.
No, I'm not calling that one for commentator's curse, definitely not.
If you talk about people enough, something bad's going to happen.
It's going to happen, but good things happen too.
And he's trying to still serve that, by the way, and he's got to be careful not to be blocking. He can't go blocking in all of this, and yet he's having to serve it offline. There goes Arthur Fertel and Ben Palmer, and is Adam Watson going to sweep around the outside? He is, so that one mistake has released Arthur Fertel, although Ben Palmer's going for it down the inside into turn 1. Neck and neck between the two of them, and here comes Watson. He's involved in this. Jamie Rushworth, who, remember, in race number 1 was having a really good race until his incident at the hairpin. He could be a shout yet. Yeah,
great race in here. Whoa, so little side to side there with Watson and the number 3 of Rushworth. Oh, and Watson really put him off the road there, but the switching back and forth. Fantastic.
See, this is what we're missing from race 1. we just need to reverse the grid for race 1.
Spinning everything.
Yeah. Speaking of spinning, Ben Palmer's gone for a spin in his boosted... Ben Palmer. Ben Gregory. Get there in the end. He's gone for a spin in his boosted car.
It's got a bit of Fab Ice Cream about it, that livery.
Yes. Oh, now he's... I think you were squeezing a little bit too much there, Ben, perhaps.
The Fab Ice Cream definitely smooshed there. It's got a bit of the fruit pastel lolly about it as well. It's kind of like a combination of a Fab and a fruit pastel.
Well, now that Alpha Fertile has been released, what can he do? His last lap was a 22.7, but that was still whilst he was battling with Ben Palmer. So what can he do on this lap? This will be the first lap where we get an idea as to how he's going to compare to Andy Archer, who's in the lead in his Atomic Esports Lamborghini. It's Lamborghini, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, Audi, BMW, Lamborghini, BMW, Lamborghini in the top 10. So those Lamborghinis look to be really strong. Looking down the order, Ross McFarlane, even though he's in the pack, fastest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, it's only progressed in one place, I think, so far. So, yeah, meanwhile, his teammate, Alex Davison, winner, of course, in race 1, has moved up 8 places to 10th. Critchley's gone with him, too. So, yeah, great run from Davison and Critchley.
Well, that's called a door being slightly ajar and sticking your foot in it and pushing it open. That was
more
Ben
of a crowbarring motion there.
I mean, the thing is, the slightest of gaps, and well, you don't need to ask Ben Palmer twice. And that last lap, they were 0.4 of a second, slower than Andy Archer. So all of that has just allowed Archer to pull away even more.
Yeah, he's taken full advantage as the Atomic Esports driver. So Lamborghini 1-2 at the moment, in the first of the Ferraris for Arthur Turtle, who's leading in the Pro class. So he's actually in position for a class win right now. Although he has Adam Watson right behind him in the Porsche, who I'm sure is smarting for a fight.
Adam Watson.
Now that I've said that, he'll probably just roll over and pit.
Well, Adam Watson's also smarting for some big points here. He'll want to get some big points to try and help him with his retain his lead in the Pro-Am Championship. Although fortunately for him, coming into this round, Ben Palmer was 63 points behind Adam coming into this week, and Andy Archer, who's the race leader, was 73 points back. So it's not the end of the world for Adam right now if he finishes fourth.
Not at all. No, I think it's a really good result. Can be very pleased with that if you can maintain it. Mike Gray running well too in the first of the Audis. Of course, runs a very similar engine to the Lamborghini 5.2 V10 mounted amidships, although the cars themselves are developed completely independently.
Oh, there's a Racing Lab Esports car going down the inside. I can see it in the mirror then. And they're still side by side, so Anders Meyer does make it through. That big BMW working its way forward, so it was a move into the hairpin. That just allows Anders to move forward to that BMW. Again, that car in that outfit has looked really strong here as well as the Lamborghini.
They look on rails. They look really, really stable, do those BMWs. And you wouldn't necessarily think that the circuit would suit that car with the front engine, but running really, really well is something they've unlocked with the setup. As you rightly said earlier, Paul, definitely something they've found with that car that others haven't. And, you know, it seems that the tyre, the kind of notorious tyre overusage that the car is known for doesn't seem to be affecting them either.
Is it a case of that BMW can ride the curb? Because the curbs around here, it is important to be able to ride those curbs and be stable.
Great point. Yeah, I think it's the stability that's really giving them confidence, and in turn that's giving lap time. Yes, I really think that's a big part of it.
Adam Watson has just made a move on Arthur Fertel. So change of position there. So the two teammates, of course Arthur is in his fellow teammate to Adam Watson in the Altitude Esports blue outfit. So Arthur's just doesn't seem to have the pace really to keep up with the rest of them. Adam Watson's been released, he's now heading off up the road. Ben Palmer, again, he's not been able to match the pace of Andy Archer. That Atomic Esports car out front, I think the fact that he's got such a big gap has just allowed him to concentrate on one thing only, and that's just putting in lap after lap.
Yeah, well, just running time trial laps, and we saw in race 1 that really running as deep as possible into the stint was advantageous, with Alex Davidson and Ethan Critchley doing that to good effect. So I think for Andy Archer, he can run that thing as low and fuel as he can, run it right to the empty, and then pit at the last possible moment. Why wouldn't you when you're running out there clean out in clean air?
Keeping up to date with our race winner from race 1, Alex Davidson, as there's the move on Jamie Rushworth from Anders Meyer. Alex Davidson has just moved up into 7th place ahead of Michael Gray, so Alex is on a bit of a charge right now, and he's still only 7 seconds off of the race lead. I think he's looking at a possible double here if he can clear some of these other cars, although I don't think it'll be the easiest to work his way past some of these cars.
Well, what a result it would be if Alex Davidson could do that and put 2 wins on the board. It might not necessarily, I mean, we know how good a driver Alex is, of course, but hasn't necessarily been his season, so maybe not quite what we would have expected. And his teammate, championship leader Ross McFarlane, has only progressed 3 or 4 places in this race, as Cedric takes an early pit stop.
Yeah, so Cedric and Webster both heading onto pit road. Moore joining them, that's Till Sommerfeld in the background of shot there. So early pit stops, trying to find some clean air, trying to just put in some quick laps now to try and get the jump. The disadvantage of that, of course, Peter, is that yes, you'll have that clean air and be able to focus forward, as Ben Palmer's lost a place up ahead and shot there. They're side by side, Adam Watson, Ben Palmer, still absolutely neck and neck going into the chicane, and Palmer does stay in that 2nd place. The point I was going to make is, yes, you get yourself into some clean air, but now you've got a really heavy car.
Yeah, that's the trade-off, isn't it? Where you've got to make it last, make it run with that, like you say, with that heavy fuel load. If it works to run right to the end of the fuel tank and then a quick splash and dash to the end, that I think is the optimum strategy. But what is Davidson going to do is, whoa, there goes Palmer. Rushworth, excuse me. Palmer's further up. So Rushworth into the pits, deciding to get out of this train. What will Davidson do? Or will he let them all just pit one by one ahead of him and just go to the front that way? Yeah,
I mean, that's a very valid option as well. It's a legitimate strategy, is that. Eric Rousseff onto pit road as well, so he's decided that now's the time to pit, get out of traffic. Byron Crawford, by the way, I think he's going to be retiring because he's got a black flag. Davidson almost into the back of Anders Meyer. This is a difficult part now. Davidson's got to try and get ahead of Anders Meyer, who has been quite quick here.
He's been very quick, yeah, very quick. I don't think this would be an easy overtake at all. And look at that, the BMW punches out the corner. It's got great torque. It makes its peak power lower down the rev range. It's a smaller capacity, big turbo engine, and the Lamborghini is different. It's a big capacity V10, normally aspirated, makes its power further up the rev range, so it doesn't punch out the corners quite the same. So this could be, yeah, and Davidson knows it. He's going, no way am I getting stuck behind him. I'm going to come in and pit.
It's a pit stop time then for Alex Davidson. He's said enough is enough. I'm stuck in that traffic, and let's get out of Dodge and just get some clean air. Here's Jack Sedgwick now. He pitted early. The problem for him is he's stuck behind Josh Boot, and Josh is one of those drivers who he's like a terrier. He'll just fight for every little thing. Although, right as I say that, he decides to pit. So, Peter, I must be catching.
He's watching you. He's absolutely watching you.
But Sedgwick right behind him is Eric Rousseff. So Eric's come out the pits right behind him. There's Alex Davidson coming out ahead of your driver in 21st, Jack Sedgwick. So he's been able to stay ahead through all of that. Yeah, it's going to be the tale of two races. Those that pit early to get out of traffic, and those that stick it out and stay out there. Race leader, by the way, 5.7 seconds clear is Andy Archer, and he needs to just stay out there as long as possible and take his pit stop as late as possible.
Yeah, that's all he can do really at this point. Just keep on trucking, and the gap is moving up too. So in goes Grabowski in the Ferrari, near enough on half race distance, just before half race distance in fact.
So that was from in the top 10 for Dennis. He's dropping down the order. We're still waiting on quite a few drivers to make their pit stops. And we're just going to... It's that patient game now of seeing where strategy and decision-making brings people out. I can tell you there is one or two drivers who have been aggressive early on in this race with the incident points. Some through choice, some through incident. There's a couple that are going to be looking at their incident points and thinking, I can't really push quite as hard in the second half of the race as I have in the first half.
Well, you've got to be careful of track limit here too. We've seen a few drivers getting slow down penalties, so it is possible here. So you've got to be careful. Oh, big slide there from the 70 of Arthur Turtle. Doesn't look so comfortable out there.
Contact!
Synchronised.
Oh, rejoin! Now was that Ross McFarlane?
Yes it was.
Ross McFarlane involved in all of that. The damage to the front of his, the damage to the back of the car as well. Oh my goodness, this is quite big. So this is Thurtle and Anders Meyer coming together. It's a late move down the inside. He is alongside, and it's just the slightest of contact around the go, and then gets it onto the power. You've got to hold your brakes in that situation, Anders.
Yeah, that's so frustrating for the cars coming through. Let's take a look then with Ross McFarlane, and it sees the two of them spinning. That's not holding brakes, that's opening up the throttle.
At Ross McFarlane, I can tell you there will be all manner of Scottishness coming out of that man's mouth right now, and none of it will be broadcastable.
He is a very calm, collected Scotsman. We come in more types than others. If that were me, I would have gone full...
have you been in a race with him and had his wrath? I can tell you.
Oh, it looks more like a Vortex now than a Lamborghini Huracan.
Yes. Oh, that's a good shout. Yes, it does look like a Vortex to a degree.
He's made it back though. Well done.
They've done better than the Vortex.
Like
us, the pit road, but there you go.
Us Scots come in much more variety of types than you think. We're not all angry and ginger.
No, but when you upset Ross, trust me, I know.
Is that exclusive to Scottish people?
Well, it's the noise that comes out when he's upset, and the all manner of words that get thrown at you. I think that's what I'm alluding to, Peter.
I think you are digging a hole. It's not a very deep one yet. I'm trying to get you to keep digging.
It's all right. You should hear me when I turn full Yorkshire when I get angry. So.
Oh dear. I think each and every nationality has their way of expressing their displeasure.
Thank you for calling Yorkshire a nationality, by the way.
There you go.
As we go through, we've got 23 minutes remaining in this race, and it's a race that has still got plenty of twists and turns to come in this one. Ross McFarlane did get that car back onto pit road and out again. He's in 21st, so he's dropped down behind Paul Webster, Daniel Sedgley, Eric Rousseff, Jack Cedric as well, and I mean, Ross, championship leader coming into this round. Yeah, he won't be happy at all with that. Quite rightly, by the way, as Phil Samways has come onto pit road. Here is Jamie Rushworth now, another WSR esports driver. He has pitted, and behind him is Eric Rousseff. Now, this is a battle for position in class, both Pro-Ams, and Rousseff is trying to work his way past Rushworth here.
A crumb of comfort for Ross McFarlane is that he was due a pit stop at the time, so needed to come in anyway, whereas for Boumé, when he had something happen in front of him, he had to take repair, knowing that he would have to come in again to get fuel. So it's not ideal, don't get me wrong, it's really frustrating, I do get that, but in the cold light of day, if you look at it, actually it could have been worse. The timing, if something like that's going to happen, that's exactly the time you would want it to happen.
By the way, Michael Evdoka, who isn't taking part this week, he's put in the YouTube chat, Paul knows. So there you go, Peter.
Yes, he does.
So there we go. Ben Palmer hasn't been able to shake off Adam Watson. I do feel though that Adam's just biding his time now. He's not pushing it like he was early on in the race. I think he's just calmed down a bit and is not quite being as aggressive, although he did get a little bit closer to the back of Ben Palmer's car. We've not really touched on the conditions at all this week here, Peter. This actually, as by the way, we're in Leeds, Alabama. So I mean,
Birmingham, Alabama.
Yorkshire place. It's if you look in the iRacing system, it is Leeds, Alabama.
Right. I thought it was Birmingham.
But 26 degrees in the air is not usual temperatures for Leeds in the UK at this time of year. So it's not the hottest on the track, but it's also not the coldest either.
iRacing is wrong. The address 6048 Barber Motorsports Parkway, Birmingham, Alabama.
There we go.
Not my words, the words of Google.
Adam Watson just ran wide, by the way, so that wasn't helping his charge, and Ben Palmer stays in second place. They've not been gaining on Andy Archer. I mean, Ben Palmer's last lap was only about 6-7 hundredths of a second quicker. So Andy Archer is keeping a really good pace at the front of the field.
Fantastic pace, isn't it? Yeah, really, really strong. And you called it straight away, Paul. A Pro-Am win. Well, it's looking pretty good right now. We've got Pro-Am 1 through 5. The first of the pros is one day I'm going to say Claudio Schiffer by accident. Raphael Schiffer in sixth is your leading pro driver at the moment, and Am as well. Car 23, S.A. Livingston, superb, 8th overall.
Yeah, so Simon Andre Livingston doing a really good job, as is Giuseppe Machella as well. Adam Watson pits. He's decided now is the time to head on to pit road. Can't get past on the road, so he's decided let's do the pit lane. So yeah, he will be getting himself onto his pit stall towards the end of pit road, getting that virtual racing fuel on board. Only about 10 seconds or so it'll be.
Ooh, we had quite a bit of damage there to repair.
Maybe that's what wasn't helping him through that stint as well. As away he goes, 10.6 seconds in the stall. Alex Davidson has gone past, has Ethan Critchley and Dennis Grabowski. And there is Jack Sedgwick, right side by side with Adam Watson. Very close between the two of them, but I do think that Sedgwick will get the run out of that corner.
Let's see. Going, yeah, don't expect any favours from Adam Watson. And to be fair, Adam Watson given plentiful racing room. That's how you do it. If someone throws it down the inside, you give that space, and so Sedgwick will have to find another way. And that's probably if you're on board there with Sedgwick and Adam Watson pulls out in front of you, you're thinking, oh no, and that's just going to lose the scent of the cars ahead. Grabowski in the Ferrari, he's looking in his mirror saying, oh yes, my teammate is right in between me and my nearest rival. Superb.
It certainly is. As through the go, I can tell you that Ross McFarlane has just picked up a slowdown penalty out there on track, so he's having to serve a slowdown penalty through all of that. It's nice being able to have all of this information to my fingertips here in session. I can really give us an insight into this. By the way, I can let you know that currently the fastest 5-lap average is actually Alex Davidson out on track right now. Average of 1:21.893 compared to the race leader 22.562.
So Alex Davidson has one hand on the Paul Smith Silver Salver for today, and through goes Sedgwick. Got that run out of out of turn 3 and able to set it up and moves by then. But Adam Watson won't mind too much. In fact, following in behind Sedgwick would be a good call, and put some good points on the board for that Pro-Am Championship. Leader in the pit lane, Andy Archer in from the lead.
I'm actually surprised that it's this lap. I would have thought it would have maybe been 2 laps more. But maybe with him having been forging a path at the front, has just decided I've been giving it flat out all the way through, so maybe not being able to do any fuel saving. Adam Watson has a drive-through penalty for incident points accumulated. So he's going to have to come down onto pit road once again. Here he comes straight away and serve that drive-through penalty.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. Oh, nearly drives into the pit wall there, does Adam Watson. That is going to cost them a lot of places and a lot of points, as out the pits comes Andy Archer. Davidson's got by him.
Yeah.
So the fairy tale of an Atomic Esports win looking less likely now, as race 1 winner Davidson comes through. And is Davidson going to do the double? We don't see it often in this type of reverse grid format, but what a result it would be if he can do that.
I mean, it shows the level of consistency in this pace all the way through this race. I mean, I think what helped is avoiding that incident at the hairpin when James Bume ended up with his damage, and Alex Davidson was able to take advantage of that and gained quite a few places through that, and I think that's helped his cause here today. And now he's fairly rocketing away now from Andy Archer. So Andy's done a sterling job at the front of the field, but it's Alex Davidson who's in that net lead right now. Meanwhile, Ethan Critchley, Dennis Grabowski and Jack Sedgwick all together on track. It's Lamborghini versus 2 Ferraris, as Catania and Michela, the 2 teammates, both head onto pit road for their one and only stop.
So Davidson, we did mention last week that Barber Motorsport Park can throw up maybe an alternative result. We know how much of a front runner Davidson is, but again, hasn't quite been his year. But this could put him right back on track. A pair of wins here would be just what the doctor ordered. Meanwhile, Ethan Critchley got his mirrors full of Kamil Grabowski and the Ferrari. There's 2 Ferraris there, Grabowski and Sedgwick's Ferrari there.
Yeah, we do carry on. There's other drivers involved in races, and Arthur Thurtle has still got Anders Meyer behind him, and those two have been pretty much stuck together since the early stages of this race. And as Michael Gray comes in now from race lead, Ben Palmer, Jack Osborne, Simon Lersing, and I would imagine that Simon Andre Livingston, all head on to pit road for their pit stops. This will mean that Alex Davidson will take the lead. That's where everybody all pans out. We'll give you a little bit of a rundown once we've had the final pit stops take place. But certainly it's been an eventful second race, a bit more eventful than the first race, Peter, as tyres taken on the Lamborghini.
Very interesting, especially this late in the race where you got to get them back up to temperature and pressure and try not lose too much time. We'll see. There's McFarlane there trying to make some moves through, trying to recover from that damage. Well, he's got the damage repaired, of course, but recover from the time lost, try to just minimise the damage. And the thing is, he's still going to finish ahead of his championship rival Bumi, and in a close championship battle that they're in. That's all that really matters.
I think though, Dennis Grabowski, Jack Sedgwick, they're together on track, and in fact Sedgwick has made it past Grabowski, so change of position for those two. They're involved in that Pro Championship battle, being third and fourth place respectively in the championship for Grabowski and Sedgwick. So they're getting some good points here in this second race. I mean, Ross did beat them in the first race, getting second place for him. Daniel Sedgley, the latest one to get a black flag. He's going to be taking a drive-through penalty for incident points. So they are racking up now the black flags for the drive-through penalties, and it's more of an old-school track, is this, isn't it, Peter? So you're more likely to get an off-track penalty because of touching the grass.
Definitely, yeah, you are it's really easy to pick up those off-track penalties, and we've seen that several drivers have to serve drive-through penalties. It's really harmed Adam Watson's race. He was looking super strong, and now he's got a whole plethora of Pro-Am rivals ahead of him. But who knows, they might meet the same fate in the next 10.5 minutes or so.
Well, let's take a look then, because the final pit stops have taken place. So we've got Alex Davidson, your overall race leader, is 2.5 seconds ahead of early race leader Andy Archer, who's your top Pro-Am in second overall. Ethan Critcher third, ahead of this driver that we're looking at right now, Jack Sedgwick. Dennis Grabowski behind them in fifth. Jamie Rushworth then second in Pro-Am, 6 overhaul ahead of Eric Rousseff and that BMW. Race 1 Pro-Am winner Rousseff, he gets himself in 7th place right now. Your top Am in this race, I'm looking down my order here. Is that Johnny Elia, who's the top Am? I believe it is. Johnny Elia then leading in Am, and he's, 20th overall. Marcella, 22nd, is the second place Am, and Craig Jones, third place Am, in 23rd overall. As Sedgwick has got ahead of Critchley, although they are battling down at the hairpin. We cut back to them on picture, and this is actually helping Andy Archer, because they have been closing into Andy Archer.
Yeah, that's exactly what Andy Archer wants to see in his mirrors, is the Lamborghini and the Ferrari of Critchley and Sedgwick fighting away. Likewise, Grabowski in the 41 altitude Ferrari is right behind them, so Sedgwick is going to try, and I'm sure he'll want to do everything he can to try and score some good points here, especially with McFarlane being a little bit hampered. Want to try and close that gap down in the championship at every opportunity he gets, but of course Critchley got his own championship axe to grind, and of course teammate duty as well to try and stop that from happening.
2 retirements from this race. Josh Boot and Byron Crawford are out of this one, so we've got 31 cars still going around this track. They're still competing here into the final 8.5 minutes of this round number 10 of the World GT Championship. Paul Smith, Peter Mackay on the call. And again, look at the run that Cedric gets out of that opening couple of corners, and then Critchley's having to go defensive here. Cedric's trying the cutback, but it's not really achievable with that hairpin because it does open up on the exit, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. You've got to almost do a little bit of a block pass and just dive in and try and get it stopped in, you know, on the apex. Not easy to pull off at all, but Cedric really ratcheting on the pressure to Critchley here, and still they catch up with Andy Archer. So Andy Archer will just be looking at that clock. It'll be going so slowly, say, oh come on, as the laps tick down. Got 6 or 7 laps to go, and they will be the longest 6 or 7 laps of Andy Archer's season.
Yeah, I think we've got about 6 laps when Davidson crosses the line here, so that'll be 6 laps to go for him as we cross to get another lap in the books. That'll be lap 28 we're on right now, and a little bit wide there from Ethan Critchley onto the grass. And again, this is where Cedric's Ferrari has been so much stronger than Ethan Critchley's car. Underneath the rear wing, but not close enough this time, I don't think, for Cedric to make a move, and he doesn't. And now Andy Archer's looking in his mirrors, and yeah, you're quite right, Peter. He'll be there wishing that we've stopped the vote, stopped the count right now, as Cedric going attacking and Critchley going super defensive.
Very defensive. He knew he hadn't quite got out the corner as well as Cedric and had to cover it off, and he did so. Cedric all over the back of that WSR Esports butt kicker Lamborghini. It's a monster over the curbs. Quite a vivid display there of the curb riding. I think that's what you mentioned earlier on about the BMW, how well it rode those curbs. It's important. Seems like there's not much wrong with the way the Lamborghini and the Ferrari ride them either, because they're monstering. Oh, close to the back of Critchley there, tries to get the early apex and on the power early here for Sedgwick, and they're getting closer and closer to Archer. This is going to get very spicy, I reckon.
Yeah, they're about half a second behind Andy Archer now, and you can just see the understeer then from Cedric's car through turn number 1. So
it does drop away a lot there, though. There's a lot of adverse camber there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Peter. You see, this is why we have you in the commentary box with you, Peter.
I think we're overselling it a bit.
What we are seeing, though, is Andy Archer just getting closer and closer to Ethan Critchley. And we know Critchley is a karter, and we all know that karters, if they see a gap, they're just going to go for it anyway.
And also, if you're a karter, and someone puts an overtaking move on you and there's contact, you know that 1 in 5 karters are going to have a mental karting dad. So Jack Cedric's got to keep that in mind. Not that Ethan Critchley's dad's a mental karting dad.
No, but Ethan,
the 1 in 5 chance, I'd say.
Ethan Critchley's dad is a former Rugby League international player.
Probably more mental then. He's more mental. A ex-Rugby League international karting dad, that's a pretty potent combination.
No, I'm sure he is probably calm and collected. He was a back, so he wasn't a forward.
You saying he's soft?
No, not at all. I played in the backs most of my rugby league playing career, thank you very much. Just not to the level that Jason Critchley did.
When I played union at school when I was a very small boy, I played hooker.
That sounds like a punishment. Andy Archer is under pressure. He's got Ethan Critchley defending from Jack Sedgwick though. And well, we've now got a queue of Andy Archer, Ethan Critchley, Jack Sedgwick. We've got Dennis Grabowski's joined the back of this. And now Jamie Rushworth's joining in. And Jamie's saying, well, hurry up, chaps, because I've got Eric Rousseff trying to take my place off of me.
They're all queuing up behind Andy Archer right now. And Andy will just be thinking, oh, come on, Jack, throw another move at him, please. Give us another bit of respite here. And yeah, Rushworth is the next car really that Archer's got to worry about. He's got 3 pro cars between himself and the chasing Jamie Rushworth. And now Critchley getting really close. But he's got to be careful when going for a move on Archer not to leave himself exposed to an attack from Sedgwick.
As lap traffic getting out the way, that's very wise there from that Mercedes. Seen an angry queue of cars coming through and thinking, do you know what? Andy Archer's off! Big mistake into turn 1. That allows Critchley, Sedgwick, Grabowski all through. And Andy Archer could potentially lose the lead of Pro-Am here, because here comes Rushworth around the outside, and the Porsche driver for WSR Esports takes the lead in Pro-Am.
Or does he?
And Critchley and Sedgwick, they're side by side as well. Critchley hangs on. Andy Archer is fighting back as well.
Oh, and the contact there between Archer and Rushworth as Archer wedges his way into the inside there, and Rushworth is better on the brakes and takes the Pro-Am lead after a 4-corner battle there side by side. Fantastic, but what a pity for Andy Archer. He had the Pro-Am win in the pocket, and one tiny little error has thrown him back into the clutches, and even second place is far from guaranteed here, because he's got Rothith right behind him in the BMW.
And we know how quick that BMW is, of course, Pro-Am winner in the first race of the evening. So Eric is looking forward and seeing big points on offer here in Pro-Am. We're heading towards the end of the race. We've got about 2 laps remaining in this one. Alex Davidson is just waltzing away in front, 7.7 seconds clear of his teammate Ethan Critchley. Critchley's doing a sterling defensive drive on Jack Sedgwick here, but this is the race for second place in Pro-Am, and Andy Archer does seem to be struggling now, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah, I think that mistake has really just upset his rhythm a little bit, and Rothith now is going to try and hook it all the way around the outside, but no, can't do it. Andy Archer holds that inside line proud and keeps his position for now. And Rothith thinks about it, but that's very narrow down there to have a go there. Got to be careful. And again, we had it in race 1, a 1-2 for WSR Esports butt kicker, and that's how they look right now. Again, here in race 2, a dream night at the office. Not so much necessarily for altitude, both in the drivers and indeed the team's championship.
Do you want to know some more bad news for altitude? As that is
that
a bit of a corner cut. Is it? No, it's not. It's not a slowdown penalty, but Eric Rousseff has seen a gap there. What is bad news is Alpha Fertil's just had a drive-through penalty now, so that's another Altitude Esports Blue driver getting a penalty. So that's 2 of the Altitude Esports Blue drivers with penalties.
Not what they wanted. Not what they wanted. But Sedgwick is still all over the back of Critchley, and this would, of course, break the WSR Esports hearts a little, because that would take a double 1-2 away if Sedgwick can take the second spot away. And of course, Grabowski holding up the honour of Altitude Esports right now there, and Critchley to the inside. Sedgwick's going to try and go around the outside, Eminem style. No, can't do it.
Well, Critchley just needs to hold on for about half a lap here, because this is the last lap of the race. Your race leader's already heading down the back stretch and it's through the chicanes, but we're looking at this race for second place, and Critchley just gets a slightly better run out of the chicane. There is your race leader out there at the front. Critchley leading Sedgwick, and then Grabowski, and then Rushworth as they come through the second chicane. Critchley just needs to position his car in the right place. Meanwhile, race leader, it is Alex Davidson, 2 from 2. It's round 10 winner in the World GT Championship for Alex Davidson.
Fantastic. What a double from Davidson, back to his best. Critchley holds on to second then to get the WSR Esports 1-2. Sedgwick in third, Grabowski fourth, and Jamie Rushworth gets that Pro-Am win. Well done.
Certainly does. Great stuff from Jamie. Looking back to Am, and it's a little bit of a change-up, because I can tell you in Am, it is Machella. Giuseppe Machella, who came into this round as the Am Championship leader. He's got ahead of Johnny Elia, and he's got himself an Am win here in round number 10 of this championship, and the ADX Racing team will be delighted with that after a disastrous race 1.
Yeah, what a way to bounce back. Ilya second in in his debut season in the World GT Championship, a class winner in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge, and yeah, doing very, very well in his opening season here.
Certainly is, and well, all the drivers have crossed the line, so we should be able to give you your provisional race results for round number 10 of season 15 of the World GT Championship. And well, what a win. It was a dominant win in the end, although it wasn't all that way for him, for Alex Davidson, in that WSR Esports butt kicker Lamborghini. But it's 2 from 2 to take that place, and what a day it is for Alex. Ethan Critchley, second place. It was close between him and Jack Sedgwick in the NX Racing Ferrari, but not quite enough from the Ferrari driver there in the end. Dennis Grabowski, 4th ahead of your Pro-Am winner. It's a good day for WSR Esports in this second race, because Jamie Rushworth takes the Pro-Am win and 5th place overall. Ahead of Andy Archer, started on pole position, led 20 laps of this race. A little mistake towards the end, dropped him down to 6th, but he should be proud of that result for Atomic Esports. Eric Grasef, 3rd place in Pro-Am for Racing Lab Esports. It's a good day for him after taking the Pro-Am win in race number 1. Michael Gray ahead of Ross McFarlane, with Ben Palmer in 10th place. 11th for Rafael Schiffer, ahead of Paul Webster till Sommerfeld. Adam Watson then, after serving a drive-through penalty, finishes 14th, ahead of Jack Osborne. Anders Meyer, after his incident and coming together, drops down to 16th in the end, with Simon Lersing, Matteo Catania, and then Phil Samways. Giuseppe Michele for the ADX Racing team rounds out the AM win for them, ahead of Johnny Elia in the 11th Racing team. SCCR Sim Sports Audi of Craig Jones rounds out the podium in AM, finishing 22nd ahead of Simon Andre Livingston. Daniel Sedgley, James Boumet in the end, down in 25th. That's a day to forget for him, I think. Ben Gregory ahead of Jesse Payne Wilkins. Andrea Cobolini, Kevin Stringer and Stephen Koenig, 1 lap down each. And then the retirements from this race. Arthur Viertel did park the car after getting his drive-through penalty. Josh Boot and Byron Crawford both out of the race. So there we go. That is the results here from round number 10. And we have to say, round number 9 and 10 was a day of Alex Davidson finding some form.
And isn't that brilliant to see? You know, it's not been his season yet, and he puts that right here at Barber Motorsports Park. A super challenging circuit, not a circuit that everyone got on with, and Davidson really came to the fore. And 2 wins, spectacular, but talk about spectacular. What about that moment he saved in race 1? Wow.
Yeah. Not only won 2 races, but won it whilst also having a moment of the season, and definitely catch the season in my opinion with that one. Pro-Am, it's been a good day for Eric Grasef. Jamie Rushworth, I think he'll be ruining race number 1 and what happened there after getting the 2nd race win here today, but it's another good day at the office for the Pro-Am driver of Eric Grasef.
I think Rousset continues to impress, and particularly, you know, his team have done an amazing job of getting that BMW dialed in with a setup that seems to be working at multiple tracks. So watch out for them when we go into the second part of the season. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
And then Giuseppe Michele, after coming into this round of the championship leading the AM championship, gets a win in the end in AM in 20th place. If you're the others though, Josh Boot, today was a day to forget. I mean, he did not finish the 2nd race after having a nightmare of a race 1.
Yeah, talk about hero to zero. We've seen Josh Boot be dominant in the AM the last couple of weeks, and then it just all fell to pieces today. It's the AM Championship is often like that. It's ups and downs, it's feast and famine. So there's plenty of points still to be offered out for AM, and I think it's a championship that's wide open there.
Well, we take next week off here on the World GT Championship, but we return in 2 weeks' time, where we'll be racing at the Nürburgring on the Grand Prix layout, not the Nordschleife, with the more open GT style chicane. That'll be in 2 weeks' time. We touched on it a little bit earlier, Peter. It's a different track. It's a really technical track, but it has got opportunities for overtakes.
It does, and it's going to be interesting to see who comes out the blocks for the second half of the season with pace behind them, because there's a lot to be getting our teeth into over the next couple of weeks on the iRacing platform. With the addition of rain, you got to be careful and make sure you get your practice in and not get too excited playing with the new toys that the iRacing developers have for us.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, it is new build day tomorrow for iRacing. I can give you a quick update of the championship points. Ross McFarlane now has a 48-point lead over James Bume, 75 points clear of Dennis Grabowski. In Pro-Am, Paul Webster now leads Pro-Am over Adam Watson by 6 points. Ben Palmer is third place, 18 points off of Paul Webster's Pro-Am lead. And in AM, Giuseppe Machella is leading by 23 points over Josh Boot, with Jesse Payne-Wilkins 30 points off of the championship leader in third place. So there we go. That is, I'm afraid, all that we've got time for here tonight. Thank you very much to everybody for joining us here on the stream. It's myself, Paul Smith, Peter Mackay, Connor Ramatic has been behind the scenes on production, and from everybody here at RaceSpotTV, we wish you a fun new build week for iRacing. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.